Hey folks, how's it going? My name's Neil. Work here at DSG. I train Sal and his boys. So we want to talk about kids in baseball and their overhead sport specific and ways to mitigate shoulder injuries and what you can do before games, during warm-ups, before practice to get rid of injury now and then into the future when they become high schoolers and pursue sports in general. So like I said, my name's Neil. I'm a registered kinesiologist here in Oakville. And I work with a lot of youth athletes in past and present, as well as washed up athletes like myself and you guys as well. No offense. Okay, I do a lot of rehab too. Okay, so coming from youth rec leagues all the way up to competitive and post-surgery and return to sport as well. I've noticed in my years playing sports, training in sports specifically, and then now doing a lot of rehab, I hear a lot of conversations, parents coming through the door, talking about their son or daughters playing sports, soccer, baseball, hockey, track and field, swimming, horseback riding, you name it, I've touched it. A lot of them are concerned about little aches and pains, injuries they've received from sports or at school, and ways to mitigate that going into middle school, going into high school, going into university, etc. So the type of training that I do and the philosophy that I have is all based around prehab and rehab, training properly to avoid injury, teaching your kid how to move properly and how they can understand their proprioception and they understand their body and how it moves as well. Now, if they're young, they're obviously not going to really know that yet, but subconsciously they'll learn how to move. They won't know why, but when they get to 8, 9, 10 years old plus, they're going to have those skills in their back pocket and they're just going to move well without even thinking. As far as injuries goes, Sal was mentioning that too, and there's a lot of ways to get around that. Now, injury is not unavoidable, but it's definitely preventable, and that's what we want to chat about here for the next couple minutes. And we can talk about the rehab flows as well. Okay. So with parents, adults, kids, I always ask them, what's your before practice or before game routine look like? What are you doing before a workout? And the answer is nothing. So that's obviously the issue. It's like starting a car in the winter. You don't just start it up and blast out of the parking lot. You let it warm up first, let it idle, let the heat go from cold to warm. Then you know it's good to go. Same with your body. So I preach that everywhere I go. All right. So this lack of warm-up, this lack of prehab or rehab after injury is a huge gap in the system and in mentality too, in sports and in just regular life. So that's what we're here to chat about today. So baseball specifically for your kids, it's the joint that we should understand first, the mechanics of it, how it translates to baseball, and then how that translates to sports in general, if they play soccer, hockey, whatever they do besides baseball. So the shoulder is mostly a mobility joint in the human body. It has the most range of motion compared to all the joints, but it is the most prone to injury because it is so mobile. There's so many ligaments connecting it, keeping it attached to your arm and your torso. That's most prone to injury. So you're going to see the most joint injuries probably in shoulders. Knees are usually number 2, but we can talk about that some other time. So the pros is it's the most mobile joint, which is great, but the con is it makes it more prone to injury and it's tougher to stay strong. So with baseball included, that's going to be a huge issue, and that's what we're chatting about right now. So the trade-off of the training is mobility and stability are opposites. The more mobile a joint is, the less inherently stable it is. So the shoulder sacrifices stability for range of motion, just like I talked about earlier, and it's more prone to injury. And the only thing filling the gap is the muscles. So you got to warm them up and train them properly. You got the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, the teres minor, and the subscap, and those all keep the shoulder in check and your lats as well. So everything needs to be moving properly. The primary job of all the muscles is to, like I said, keep the shoulder in its proper position. But a lot of people have forward lean, back lean, they shrug, mostly adults. So if you got that going on, tight shoulders, tight neck, give me a call. But yeah, as far as kids go, you see that now because we're talking about your kids under 10, they just don't know yet, and that's totally fine. But I think it's our job as a trainer and as a parent to get your kids moving properly. You don't have to drill sergeant them, but if you guys understand how to move, then it's going to be a lot easier to show them how to move, and then injury is avoided. It's just going to happen. So as far as biomechanics go with your kid, they're throwing a baseball, they're running around, they're sliding into home plate, whatever it is, they're throwing a baseball as hard as they can. All those muscles are underdeveloped, they're still growing, they're not moving correctly. The joint is hypermobile because they're so young. So that's a lot of stress on the shoulder joint specifically as far as throwing goes. And most of the time the mechanics are just arm. There's no thoracic mobility, there's no core involvement, there's no lats, there's no hips, it's just arm. So that's a lot of wear and tear on a shoulder. And if you can imagine being an 8, a 9, a 10, up to a 12-year-old, that's going to wreak havoc on their joints. And then when they get to 15, if they're playing competitive ball or a competitive sport, whether they're serious about pursuing that or not, injuries are probably going to happen. Knock on wood, they don't, but at the very least, they're going to have aches and pains. And that's all the joints, knees, hips, shoulders, neck as well. But we're just talking about shoulders right now. Okay, some quick stats I pulled out of the internet. Youth sports in North America, there's about 50% injury rate or overuse injuries in sports. 50%, that's a lot. I didn't know that, but so essentially half of your team is going to have an overuse injury currently and then moving forward. And that's all just repetition, bad posture, bad mechanics. Again, kids don't really know, but if we can teach them how to move semi-correctly now, they're going to know how to do it when they're 10, 11, 12, 15, 20. If they pursue sports, that's great. Or if they become just regular sports fanatics like us, they're at least going to be healthy and strong and understand their body when they go into adulthood. And I think that's the key. But as far as the sports performance piece goes, at the age your kids are now, it's a perfect time to start getting them thinking about how their body moves, how to recover, how to prep, and it's all going to lead them in the right direction. In the Journal of Sports Medicine, for baseball specifically, there's been a huge increase in Tommy John surgery. We all know what that is, being baseball fans. But the weird thing is that, or the alarming thing is that these surgeries are happening to kids that are 13 and 14 years old. That's way too young for it to be happening. But that's just a classic case of overuse, bad mechanics, and not being taught correctly. So that's our job to mitigate injury. Another quick stat that I found that's going to relate to our video here is in youth pitchers across North America, if they threw over 100 innings per year, they're almost 4 times more likely to require surgery down the road. And I'm not talking like a year, like, a couple years down the road. So if your kid's playing competitive baseball and they want to make a go of it, university or Division I, or play semi-pro somewhere as a teenager, and they have surgery, that's pretty much it. And it's going to be a tough road to come back from that. So again, mitigating injuries now, preparing the shoulder properly and the whole body now at a young age is so crucial to longevity in sport and just overall health for the lifespan. So this video is obviously shoulder-based, but thinking about the body as a whole, everything stems from the hips. So if you have bad knees, I'm talking about you, I do too, it's going to be coming from your hips mostly, and then shoulders as well, it's going to be a hip issue. So for youth athletes, especially in throwing sports, I noticed that their hips are super tight. They don't have good flexion extension. They don't have good twisting range. And that all comes from many things, but at the end of the day, especially now, everyone's sitting longer. They're sitting for hours a day, playing on video games, playing on their phone, sitting in school, sitting in the car, sitting on the bench. They're not getting enough hip mobility, and that leads to shoulder tightness, lack of range of motion, and then either aches and pains, and the worst is injury. So stemming from the hips, these mobility drills are going to help that immensely before practice, on their own, and we can talk about that just in a sec. Okay, so just to wrap up this video, I don't make it too long. I just want to give a good overview of kind of what Sal and I have been talking about, and the goal of getting your kids and youth sport in general in the area, just getting a little more focus on prepping their body for sport, whether it's baseball specific like what we're talking about today, or just any sport in general. So again, I'll say, if your kid plays soccer, hockey, track and field, swimming, rides a horse, golfing, any sport out there that they're playing, I really, really, really want them to warm up beforehand, before practice, at home. If they're laying around all day, besides getting to ride a bike, get them to do this mobility drills. So I put together just one for now. I want to send to Sal, and then Sal's going to send to you guys. Try it out. Do it. I would say do it with your kids because they're going to be a little bit tentative. I made it as easy to follow as possible. The drills are very simple, but if you treat it as a flow, it's going to be really beneficial. It's not only mobility based, but it's strength based as well. So secretly, even though you're warming up the range of motion in the shoulder and the hip, it is also going to be strength moves as well. So your kids specifically are not only going to get a little bit stronger each time they do it, but they're also going to improve their joint flexibility, mobility, and deep joint strength, which is the key to not getting injured, is that deep strength. So enjoy it, do it with them, do it on your own. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Sal has my number and my email. Text me, call me, send me an email, DM me on Instagram, whatever you have to do. If you have questions about your son, your daughter, or you specifically, then just reach out. All right, thanks a lot.